Okay, what's up guys? Welcome back to part 2 of the Demonology PvP guide. So this video will be going over macros, we'll be going over glyphs, and we'll be going over stat priorities. So let's start with glyphs. So the first glyph that I take is Glyph of Healthstone. What this does is it doubles the amount that your Healthstone heals you for, but it puts it in form of a hot. Now what I do, I'll show you this later, I make a macro that combines this using my Healthstone and my talent Dark Regeneration. So that's a pretty good 2-minute cooldown. Both the cooldowns line up too. Okay, so the second glyph that I take is Imp Swarm. So Imp Swarm, it just gives you an ability. You can summon a bunch of imps and they'll generate a lot of fury for you, and they'll generate or they'll do decent amount of damage. So you can even line this up with your burst, or if you just need fury really quickly, this is a good glyph to have. Okay, so this last glyph, you have some choices here. The one that I take normally is Demon Training. So this just enhances some of your pets, abilities. You can read it, but the reason why I use it is it increases my Fel Guard's health by 20%. This is good for two reasons. One, it dies less easy. It's 20% harder to kill. And also, one of the talents that I take is Sacrificial Pact. So this gives me a shield based on my pet's health. So you'll see if I use that right now, it's about 240,000. So without this glyph, that shield would only be about 200,000. So I get about 40,000 absorb on my shield. So that's worth it to me. So let's talk about your options for this third glyph. A lot of locks like having this tank form. So this is the most popular choice, Glyph of Demon Hunting. This will give you kind of like a tanky demon form that you can always stay in. I'm not really going to be covering it because it's not really good for anything except for messing around in random BGs, trying to flag carry and stuff like that. But it is kind of cool. You should check it out. I spec'd it for a while. Yeah, I think the downside to this tank form is you don't get to keep the fury that you get after you exit the form. Okay, so the other option, you have two other options, I guess. Dark Soul. If you find your Dark Soul getting dispelled, really quickly, then you can use this and it'll give you just 3% mastery all the time, but it also reduces your burst by 3% mastery. So it's a trade-off. I think those are the main options. None of the other glyphs are really worth mentioning. Okay, so let's look at stat priorities. So the way I do it is, first of all, I always get as much int as I can. That's point for point, that's going to be the best stat. Secondary, you want PvP power. So just as much PvP power as you can. After that, your next best offensive stat is Mastery. Mastery increases the damage that you do in demon form, so it's going to increase the burst. That's really all you care about, how much damage you do in demon form. So Mastery is your best pure secondary stat. So that's the one that you will want to be reforging. That's the stat that you'll want on all your PvP gear. After Mastery, you're going to want criticals. You want crit. The reason why is it's a lot worse than Mastery, but it's way better than Haste. Haste is really bad because you really don't cast a lot as Demonology. It's a lot of instants and stuff like that. So reducing your cast time with Haste, it doesn't do much since you're just spamming instants most of the time anyway. So yeah, that's stat priority. Also to note, you want a healthy amount of resilience. I don't really gem it or anything like that. I just take what I get. I have full PvP gear, so I just take what I get on the PvP gear, and I end up with about 58.5%. I'll probably end up with around 60% once I'm fully geared. So yeah, I don't think you need more than that. You also want to cap your hit at 6%. See, here we go. I'm at 5.98, so I'm pretty close. So yeah, you want to be as close to 6% as you can. Alright, so let's talk macros. So let me show you just some real quick macros that you'll want pretty much regardless of the spec. I have Focus Fear, really important. Focus Command Demon. If you have like if you have a Fel Hunter, you can focus Spell Lock. That's really good. Your Dark Regeneration and your Healthstone. I have a couple Fel Flame macros. I have one that's just a mouse over to kill totems. This is a focus Fel Flame. This is one I just made just to kill groundings really easily in arena. And you want your burst macro, so it looks like this. So I have my Dark Soul, and then it also uses my PvP trinket. And you have Curse of Enfeeblement. This isn't that important as demo, but you might want to have it anyway. The other two macros which are kind of interesting is if you go sack spec and you sack an imp, you can actually dispel. So I use these two macros. I just put my teammates or party one or something like that in here, and it'll dispel my teammates out of CC. So that's kind of useful sometimes, but not necessary. So as for demonology specific macros, let's look at Axe Toss. You need this macro. It's really essential. It lets you use the stun from your Felguard, otherwise you can't use it. So you need a macro to do this. I also have a macro that does focus. So I actually use this macro for all my specs. So if I'm Affliction, it does focus, Curse of Exhaustion, or Devour Magic. If I'm Demo, I can focus Axe Toss. So if I want to Axe Toss, if I want to stun the healer for CC or something like that, if I don't want it on my target, I can do that. I use this a lot. From Destro, I have Focus Conflagrate for a slow. So it's just kind of a useful macro to have. I think, yeah, that's mostly it. Oh yeah, when I spec into Death Coil, I also have Focus Mortal Coil. And yeah, that's it for macros. So in the next video, we'll be going over pretty much every spell you can imagine using as demo. We'll go over your rotation and your burst. I'm going to be showing you some cool tricks and stuff like that to do with utility. Okay, take care, guys.